What's up, people? This is the third part in a 4-part series of 3DS games you should buy before the eShop closes on March 27th. If you want to check out parts 1 or 2 after this video, the links will be in the description. As always, I'm doing one game per franchise to add variety to my list. If there's a game or sequel to a game you think I might have missed, it might be in one of my 2 previous 3DS videos. But let's not waste any more time. Here are 10 must-buy games before the eShop closes, part 3. First up on the list, we have Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology. A port of the original DS game, the 3DS version has voice acting, new visuals and music, and a new subplot called Possible History involving a new party member named Nemesia. In battle, enemies are placed on a 3x3 grid with the playable characters forming a row in the right side of the screen. The closer an enemy is to the player, the stronger their attacks will be, but they also may take more damage. The player can also switch turns between characters and enemies alike, allowing them to stack turns to create bigger combos. Also, enemies can be pushed around to put more than one in the same spot, and subsequent attacks will damage every enemy affected until the combo is finished. Radiant Historia is regarded by many as one of the best and also one of the most underrated RPGs on the 3DS, so you'd be doing yourself a massive disservice by not adding this game to your library before it's too late. At number 9, we have a competitor to Pokemon with Yokai Watch 3. Yokai Watch 3 is the third entry of the monster collecting series and regarded by many as being the best of them all. Follow 2 parallel stories and unravel the mysteries behind strange sightings while meeting over 600 yokai in the process. If you played any of the previous Yokai Watch games, you're going to be introduced to a new battle system called the Tactics Board. The Tactics Board allows players to place yokai medals on the bottom screen. By moving the medals around, the players will be able to avoid enemy attacks on the grid spots, and as well as switch out yokai and perform various other actions. This game is a standalone title, and other than a couple meta jokes and references, you don't have to play 1 or 2 to get up to speed. Because of that, and many fans saying this is the best of the 3, Yokai Watch 3 is the perfect entry point into the franchise. At number 8, we have Etrian Odyssey Untold: The Millennium Girl. The dungeon crawling RPG is a remake of the first Etrian Odyssey game and the start of the Untold series. The biggest difference between the Untold series and the regular Etrian Odyssey game is the story mode, which provides an expansive story, preset characters, cutscenes, and voice acting. But the players will have to draw their own dungeon maps just like in classic mode. But if you're a fan of the old school method, fear not, because classic mode is also provided in the game, so think of it as getting the best of both worlds. The story mode has an extra dungeon to explore, and it also takes the maps from the original Etrian Odyssey game, remakes, and expands upon them. The main campaign has 3 difficulties: Picnic, Standard, and Expert, and you're looking at about 45 to 60 plus hours depending on how much of the extra stuff you decide to do. The reason I picked this game over the other Etrian Odyssey games is solely because this one has a story with predetermined characters, which I personally prefer over having randomized characters because I feel like it helps with the immersion. But honestly, most of the Etrian Odyssey games are amazing and you couldn't go wrong with any one of them. Next, we have another remake with Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. With technically being part of 6th Gen, Omega and Alpha takes the Game Boy games and give them a new 3D coated paint from the X and Y series. Some of the features taken from X and Y include Super Training, Pokemon Ami, and Mega Evolutions. The games also introduce new features including primal reversions of Groudon and Kyogre, as well as using Latios and Latias to traverse around the Hoenn region. When flying around on them, players may encounter Mirage spots which feature Pokemon not otherwise available in the Hoenn region, as well as numerous legendary Pokemon from previous generations. There are over 170 Pokemon to capture without trading online, and 25 hours of content unless you want to 100% the game, which then you're looking at about 150 hours. While I would probably prioritize getting either Sun and Moon or X and Y over this, if you like the 3D Pokemon games as much as I do, this remake is definitely worth the pickup. At number 6, we have Resident Evil Revelations. Released in 2012, Revelations is a spin-off of the popular survival horror series and is set between the events of Resident Evil 4 and 5, which follows original series leads Jill Valentine and Chris Redfield as they try to stop a bioterrorist organization from affecting the Earth's oceans with a virus. Revelations provides a single-player mode where the player must complete a series of episodes that involve solving puzzles and defeating enemies. The game goes out of its way to emphasize survival, evasion, and exploration over fast-paced combat by providing the player with limited ammunition, health, and movement speed. It's designed to bring back the content and horror to the Resident Evil roots while at the same time trying to modernize the gameplay. The main campaign is about 8 hours and 34 hours if you want to see everything the game has to offer. Now, there is a Switch version of this game, so if you have a Switch, I would probably advise you to purchase it there. But whether it's on the Switch or the 3DS, Resident Evil Revelations is a must-play for fans of the survival horror genre. At number 5, we have Bravely Second Inlayer. This is a direct sequel to the popular turn-based RPG and is set 2.5 years after the original. Just like the first game, Bravely Second retains most of the gameplay systems of its predecessor, such as the Brave and default battle systems, and acquiring sleep points for the time-stopping Bravely Second ability. One of the new additions to this game is what's called Consecutive Chance, which allows players to chain multiple battles, with each one containing a greater increase in difficulty and rewards. The job system also returns and features several new job classes in addition to the current ones. Asterisks are still used as a catalyst for changing jobs. There are over 30 jobs and over 30 abilities. Early on, only half of the optional asterisks can be obtained, but after playing through a couple of chapters, you'll be able to get the rest. While the sequel isn't as necessary to purchase as the first game, I still think this sequel is worth adding to your 3DS library. Next, at number 4, we have Dragon Quest VII: Fragments of the Forgotten Past. This port of the PlayStation game from 2000 is not only the 7th installment of the popular Dragon Quest series, but it's also the first in the series to not be part of a larger trilogy. The game follows Hero, the son of a prominent fisherman, as he and his friends discover secrets about the mysterious islands surrounding their isolated home of Esther, the only landmass in the entire world. Through some ancient ruins, they are transported to the past of various islands that used to exist and must defeat evil in each new location. Like the other Dragon Quest games, the classic turn-based combat is here, along with being able to talk with party members in and outside of battles. They offer advice about battle strategies and plot points, or simply comment on how they feel at a given moment. That, plus mini-games, side quests, and overall quality of life improvements, make this 100+ hour remake a real bang for your buck. Speaking of playtime, one of the biggest criticisms of the game is that the game tends to drag on a bit, and because of that, I would recommend making this game your main priority to get through it, and maybe taking some breaks so as to not get burnt out. One of the things that has always stood out to me with the Dragon Quest series is the simple yet sophisticated designs of the monsters. While going through Dragon Quest XI, I would sometimes just sit there and admire how unique these enemies look. And with over 300 enemies in Dragon Quest VII, if you appreciate character designs as much as me, then this classic RPG is a no-brainer. Next, at number 3, we have Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia. This tactical RPG is a full remake of the Famicom game Fire Emblem Gaiden, which was the second installment in the Fire Emblem series. The story follows Alm and Celica, childhood friends who set off on their own journeys across Valentia in order to restore peace. Echoes keeps and retains many mechanics that originated in Fire Emblem Gaiden. Among these include a traversable world map, as well as freely explorable towns and dungeons. Such exploration takes place from a third-person perspective, and when an enemy is encountered during exploration, the game transitions to a traditional Fire Emblem battle. If the player can preemptively strike the enemy icon in the dungeon to start the battle, the enemy units will begin the fight with a slight reduction in their health, and their starting position will be closer to the enemy. Echoes also retains the unique battle system used in Gaiden, making map battles much different from other Fire Emblem titles. If you're new to the Fire Emblem franchise, I would recommend buying Awakening or Birthright before buying this, but if you're already a fan of the strategy RPG genre, you won't regret adding this to your collection. Coming in at number 2, we have Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. This action RPG is an upgraded version of Monster Hunter 4 and is the second Monster Hunter released on the 3DS. In Ultimate, players will take on the role of a hunter that joins up with a traveling caravan to explore new lands and towns along the way. This grand adventure includes hundreds of quests to take on a variety of grandiose creatures that yield valuable resources used for weapons and equipment. The game allows the player to use any of the 12 weapon types in the game. Each have a unique battle approach that the player must master and can switch between these weapons before departing on your hunt. With over 98 monsters in the game, you'll be pretty busy hunting as you go through this 70 to 100+ hour adventure. Many fans of the franchise would say Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate is not only one of the better games in the series, but also a great entry point for beginners. So, if you've ever been interested in playing a Monster Hunter game, this is the perfect place to start. And finally, at number 1, we have The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask 3D. A remake of the classic 64 game, Majora's Mask 3D features enhanced graphics over the original using the advanced hardware and graphical capabilities of the 3DS. Similar to Ocarina of Time 3D, the controls of Majora's Mask has been updated to accommodate for the 3DS, and there has been a lot of weapon and quality of life improvements to the game as well. The story of Majora's Mask takes place 2 months after the events of Ocarina of Time, and it follows Link, who on a personal quest ends up in Termina, a world parallel to Hyrule. Upon reaching Termina, Link learns that the world is endangered as the moon will fall into the world in 3 days and becomes embroiled into a quest to prevent the end of the world. If you couldn't tell by the title of the game, the most notable mechanic and biggest departure from the norm is the 20+ masks you as Link will be using. The masks are where you'll get most of your powers and upgrades throughout the game, and you'll be using them to explore, solve puzzles, and defeat bosses before your time runs out. These different masks help keep gameplay fresh and exciting as you trek through this 25-hour playthrough. If you have a Switch and the Nintendo Switch Online expansion, I believe you can already play this, but if you don't have a Switch or you rather own your own games, this is one RPG you can't afford to miss. Alright, that's all I have for you today. My fourth and final part to this series will be showcasing some more hidden gems on the 3DS, so hit the notification bell so you can see it the second it drops. Also, like I said in the beginning, if you missed parts 1 or 2, links will be in the description. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to keep up with the channel. Later.